Okie dokie, we're back.
I've lost count.
Yeah,
Which number we're on?
doesn't matter. But anyway, this podcast is about barefoot shoes, training, shoes, the issue with modern day trainers, all things like that, basically.
Yeah. So this is important, especially if you're an athlete.
For sure.
But even just, the average person who doesn't train or, doesn't have any sporting goals in mind, this is still very important in case you have any injuries or you have any sort of deviations within your body, or anything that's slightly wrong with your skeleton, because this is very important.
Exactly.
So should we talk about your feet at the first point of contact on the floor first?
Your feet are your foundation.
Yeah,
basically.
it's the foundation of your skeleton.
It's what your whole skeleton is standing on. Your feet, So we've got to make sure that our feet and our foundation have a correct kind of posture,
anatomical position.
Exactly, that's a better way of putting it. So if your foundation has the correct anatomical positioning, then everything else upstream is going to be a lot better off, basically.
Yeah, you can't build a house on shit foundations. So if your foundations, aka your feet, are in the incorrect anatomical position, or you're wearing shoes that restrict them or limit them, then again it's not optimal, especially if you're an athlete.
And you have, I think there's 29 little intricate muscles within your foot, so there's a lot going on in your feet that you need to be aware of, and kind of us as athletes, we don't really concentrate on, well, for the most part, most athletes don't concentrate on building up the strength of their feet, working on all of these 29 different kind of intricate muscles in your feet, because no matter what sport you're playing, most of the time you're standing up, you know what I mean? So you need your feet for every sport pretty much, do you know what I mean? So it's important. It's an important factor that might be getting missed in your training, so we want to make you aware of it.
Yeah, if you have any knee issues or any hip issues or ankle issues, further up from your feet, there's a good chance that there's something wrong with your feet.
The root cause stems from the feet most
like
of the time.
Point of origin, again, it's the foundation, first point of contact on the floor. So if there's something wrong there, there's a good chance the rest of the chain has something going wrong with it. And a lot of the time, especially both being PTs, we have people come to us a lot of the time, sort of the culprit is there's something wrong with the feet.
There's been many times in my career where I've had people come in to get massage and kind of rehab sessions and things like that, and they have knee issues or hip issues, even ankle issues, and most of the time I have to address the feet, and the feet are the thing that basically fix the whole problem, So
even stuff like, people don't realise this, but even something like scoliosis, can be linked back to the feet. How your feet sort of are positioned.
And the way that you walk, your gait as well. So your gait means how you walk, you know what I mean? Are your feet pointing outwards as you walk, or your feet pointing too far inwards?
Because again, that has a knock-on effect, like a domino effect on like your knee, your hip. And then if your hips are sort of rotating in the wrong way, if one foot's slightly turned out more than the other, you might lean a certain way more, and then you're going to have curvature in your spine, especially as a kid, as you're growing. That's how some people get scoliosis. But yeah, people don't realise that it does go, or starts from the feet. They get neglected too much, and especially modern day shoes, they definitely don't help.
Yeah, they play a big role in your foot health overall, and they don't help with your foot health. So
should we start with that?
So I was going to say, let's go on to modern day trainers now.
Yeah, so I'm saying this while I've got like modern shoes on. These aren't barefoot shoes.
So I purposely put the barefoot ones on today. Do you know what I mean? Just to show you the contrast between regular trainers and the barefoot ones. If you watch the podcast enough, you have probably seen me in a variety of barefoot type of shoes. I don't wear them when I'm sat on the bench, oftentimes when we're doing the podcast, all the time, because as you can see, the barefoot shoes are very thin and it's very cold, so they're not ideal for the winter. You can get winterized versions as well, but yeah. Anyway, let's keep it simple for now and start with the main differences between modern day trainers and barefoot type trainers.
So I think to start with modern day shoes, I mean, these ones aren't too bad, to be fair. That's why I like them a bit more. But most modern shoes have a narrow toe box.
Yeah.
So when I say narrow toe box, the toe box is, I mean, it's
the end part of your trainer, basically.
Does what it says on the tin. It's where your toes lie. And when it's too narrow, your feet get cramped together.
Squash your toes together, yeah.
So a common sort of result of that is people will have toes that overlap.
Or bunions.
Yeah. So your toes aren't actually meant to touch one another. It's like your hands. Put your hand out, your fingers don't touch.
If
your toes are meant to be the same.
Exactly. If you put your hand in a glove with no finger separation in them, then your hand's not very useful. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's the exact same thing with your foot. If you have your feet in modern day trainers all the time and then your toes start overlapping or you start getting bunions and things like that, then it compromises the health of your foot. It stops you activating certain parts of your calf, etc., and then all these knock-on effects start building.
Yeah. So even like you were saying that you might not activate all your calf properly, then you might overcompensate with other muscles, and then that's where you get injuries. You might start injuring a certain muscle more because it's like it's making up for that sort of discrepancy.
Your posture might start changing and things like that. Your gait might start changing because of the modern day trainer and your toes being compromised, and then it has them knock-on effects.
Other thing with modern shoes is a lot of them, the heel's
raised, yeah. So the heel is a lot more raised than where the toes lie. Do you know what I mean? So basically, you're standing on a slant all the time. Because you're standing on a slant and your heels are raised, then that knocks your posture forward, and then that has a knock-on effect on the whole of your posture from the foundation upwards, basically. Most of the barefoot shoes have a wide toe box, so they allow your toes to spread out naturally. They have zero drop, so the heel is on the same level as basically where the toes lie. So you can stand straight with your toes spread out, and you're not leaning slightly forward when you're in barefoot shoes, basically. So that corrects your posture straight away. It basically activates more parts of your calf. It makes your glutes more activated as well, because you're not leaning forward too much. And then that has positive effects on your posture and your athletic abilities as well, because oftentimes modern day trainers have a large amount of foam in them as well, which kind of make the trainers more springy, and you even have new modern day kind of marathon shoes that have the carbon fiber kind of springy plate thing in them and all stuff like that, which is sound. But when you're actually trying to be an explosive, fast twitch kind of athlete, and you're relying on the spring in the foam or in the carbon fiber plate or whatever else, then you're not actually developing the springiness in your Achilles tendon, in the fascia on the bottom of your feet, in the plantar, and all these other little 29 intricate muscles aren't getting developed as much because the modern day trainer is helping you. Do you know what I mean? And your body's very energy efficient. It's not going to turn muscles on and strengthen tendons, ligaments that are not being used. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's just not how nature works. Nature's very energy efficient.
Yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it.
If you don't use it, you lose it, exactly. So barefoot shoes, because they don't have much spring in them, they're very flat. They've got little to no cushion.
I mean, in case people are confused when we say barefoot shoes, they're called barefoot shoes because it's the closest thing that's going to simulate you running around barefoot.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny bit of protection on the bottom, but there's no arch support, like you said, the flat. There's no sort of heel drop or heel raise. And it's got a wide toe box. It lets your toes naturally spread out how they're meant to in the correct anatomical position, so it just strengthens your foot in a natural way. It's like, again, we're born without shoes for a reason, and it just allows you to strengthen your feet naturally. So when you do come to use these specially tailored carbon fibre marathon shoes, or whatever sport you're playing, specially made boots, whatever, you'll be extra springy, extra strong in certain positions. You'll be quicker off the mark, or you can change directions quicker, when you eventually come to use them, because you've built the solid foundation in your skeleton already.
With the Barefoot, yeah, exactly, 100%. So yeah, it's important that we mention when you do transition from normal trainers to barefoot trainers, because they don't have as much cushioning in them, then you can kind of injure yourself if you go straight into running and doing extreme activities in them. You've got to build yourself up slowly.
Your calves are going to be fucked.
The
first few weeks,
especially if you're running them.
Yeah.
So just build them up slowly. A lot of people who do squats and deadlifts and things like that in the gym, they like to not have shoes on naturally, because it feels better. You can feel the ground better. Your heels aren't raised, and you're not leaning forward naturally. Do you know what I mean? So they work for lifting in the gym very well. They work for a lot of combat sport gyms. You're barefoot anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not allowed shoes and things like that on the mats. Do you know what I mean? So it just makes sense if you're a combat sport athlete to do your running and your strength and conditioning and your plyometric training and all this other stuff in barefoot style shoes, because if you're in the UFC or whatever else, or you're a Thai fighter, kickbox or whatever, then you're going to be fighting in no shoes, basically. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's important for you to understand. You can get certain barefoot shoes like the Vibrams that have kind of built-in toe separators in them. You know what I mean?
I was just going to say about that, yeah.
Or you can buy very cheap kind of silicone toe separators to put on, and then you can stick your feet into barefoot shoes, and then you've got the best of both. Do you know what I mean? And you don't have to pay for expensive Vibram shoes.
So what that does, the toe separators, is it forces your toes to
spread
be
out basically
as wide as possible. So it's going to hurt the first couple of times you do it, because if you've been wearing normal shoes your whole life and your toes are together and they don't separate,
or you have overlapping toes already,
yeah, forcing them out,
gonna feel uncomfortable at first,
it's
right?
Gonna be weird, because you're sort of going against what the bad habit that you've had for a lifetime. And I mean people are going to turn around and say, okay, so why should I actually be barefoot or use the toe separators? Like, why do my feet need to be wider? I mean, think if you've got a thin sort of foot because your toes are together, compared to it being wide, like, you have less surface area to grip the floor,
and you have less surface area to balance on.
Yeah, your balance is going to be worse. The wider something is, the more grip you've got. The quicker your turning speed's going to be, or your springiness, and
the less likely you are to roll your ankle when you're playing football, or you're playing basketball or whatever sport you're playing.
You've got a wider foot, it's less likely to roll. Or if you stand on a stone or something as you're running, it's less likely to twist or throw the rest of your body off, because you've just got more area to sort of manage that little stress. So
for sure,
it's very important. I think I've seen NFL teams starting to train barefoot a bit more.
A lot of people are getting onto it now.
People are switching on to how important it really is, especially NFL or football, how thin the boots are. It should kill your feet, especially if you go and search up LeBron James's feet or Usain Bolt's feet from wearing them shoes for years training. The feet are fucked. They're
for sure.
They're just all mangled. Even I made a video the other day about this sort of topic on Instagram. I used Adam Lallana after the Champions League game. He took a picture of his feet, and his toes are white, all the blood has gone out of his feet. That's that's a more extreme example, but it's still sort of the same idea of what modern shoes do to your feet. They restrict your toes, cut a bit of blood flow off, so you can't like efficiently move. Well, you can't move how you're meant to move. You know, you've been designed in a way to not wear shoes, and you know, most shoes are a limiting factor in your movement.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at babies' feet, they naturally have a massive wide toe spread. Do you know what I mean? And as we get more into adulthood, then we start having overlapping toes and bunions and all these other things start getting created in our lives because of modern day trainers. One little thing that I'll mention as well is, and I've done this with a few pairs of my barefoot shoes, you can basically make them into shoes that ground you by sticking a copper plug through them, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? You can't really do that with modern day shoes. When you're grounded, then again, we'll probably have to do a separate podcast on grounding and give you the science behind it, but you've got less inflammation and all these things, and this is another partly a reason why most sport where you're wearing trainers or you're wearing like boots and things like that, you have a higher risk of injuring yourself and things like that, because you're never grounded, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Never getting rid of that inflammation.
Yeah, so you're never getting rid of the inflammation, and you're sprinting around, you're killing yourself for 90 minutes or whatever else that you're doing. Do you know what I mean? And you just, yeah,
doesn't have an outlet.
Yeah, there's no outlet, exactly. But yeah, anything else you want to speak about on this topic?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think that'll do.
To conclude, modern shoes aren't good for your feet. They're too narrow, raised heels and whatever. Barefoot shoes are going to help your feet. I was going to say, other thing I didn't mention is a lot of people have weak arches nowadays because of modern shoes. You know, having that bit of arch support. So when they eventually do go barefoot, they twist their ankle quite easily because your foot never had the reps of sort of like saving itself.
Yeah, exactly. And also, what happens is you can get away with more, with a worse gait when you have modern day trainers. Do you know what I mean? When you start running in barefoot shoes, if you heel stride, so landing with your heel first while you're running,
you're gonna realize
if your
very
gait
quickly.
Exactly. If your gait is not correct and you're running and your feet are out like this as well, it fucking kills. Yeah. And the barefoot shoes expose all of the wrongdoings in your posture very fast.
You can't overcompensate with, you know, modern shoes when you do the barefoot.
Exactly.
If you run barefoot or use barefoot shoes, like, you're fully exposed. Like you said, if your running technique's wrong, you're gonna find
know about it
very quickly. Yeah. The other thing as well is, not like more physical, but just mentally, you stay switched on when you're running barefoot shoes. Because you can't just like mindlessly go for a run through here, because you know you go and stand on that tree stump or
a sharp rock
or an acorn or something.
You feel it a lot more.
It hurts. So you've got to navigate. You've got to be more mindful of your running, where you put your foot, how you land, how you go over certain or different surfaces. It
makes you more conscious. Yeah. It puts you more in tune with your body, which is really good.
I was say, especially if you're like a combat sport athlete.
That's what you want.
You've got to stay switched on for the whole time. It's just like an extra little, what's the word?
Like a brain game.
Simulation, yeah. Just stay switched on as you're exercising, don't switch off, so you're always sort of mindful and present of, you know, every little thing you're doing while the clock's on. Yeah,
for sure. A quick little thing, last thing I'll mention is this as well, because obviously we love combat sports and whatever else. It's the same with boxing. So barefoot shoes, normal trainers, they basically allow you to make more mistakes. It's the same in the boxing room. I see a lot of fighters, and I've coached a lot of fighters over the years, that have, say, 2 sets of wraps on, loads of tape on, massive 12 ounce, 14 ounce gloves and whatever else. And when you punch wrong or you don't squeeze your hand at the right time, and you're not conscious or at the level of consciousness that you need to be, in the level of presence that you need to be, then all of the cushioning and all that other stuff allows you to kind of get away with it. When I strip all that away and make you punch the bag bare knuckle or with just wraps on or with small thin MMA gloves on, then it has the same effect as going barefoot. You know what I mean?
100%.
All of your mistakes, all of your flaws, they get brought out to the surface, and if you make mistakes, then you get punished for them real fast. So yeah,
like if you look at my knuckle, you probably can't even see, but I've got scabs on my knuckle.
Yeah.
When we started doing it years ago, I was having scabs on like my thumb and like, what's that called?
The small knuckles on your
the
fingers.
lower knuckles.
Yeah.
And
Because you're punching it incorrectly.
That's what I mean. Like you said, having the wraps on and the thick gloves, you know, you can get away with it because it's just an extra layer of protection. But when you strip it down, you're like, no, hit the bag. Bare knuckle, you know, you quickly realise your mistakes, and obviously only places where I've got marks is, you know,
on the actual main
right where you're meant to land.
Yeah.
So it's the same with your feet. Wear the barefoot shoes. You're gonna quickly realise you need to change your running technique, and you know
how I'm landing and all that.
Yeah.
And even your stride length as well. You can't just like do massive stride length because then you'll hit the ground quite hard.
You'll feel your knees there. You gotta it makes you more calculated, a bit more measured.
And just have better technique overall.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, like you're literally building yourself from the ground up. There's not a topic to talk about where there's like a better sort of phrase attached to it, is there? You're building yourself from the ground up when you're going barefoot, or you start using the barefoot shoes. Leave it there. Catch us on the next one. Yeah, subscribe, email us, askheartofficial@gmail.com, rate us on audio, whatever, press whatever buttons there.
And get these foundations strong. Stay dangerous, innit?
Yeah. See you next week.
Peace.